Let's go to Tennessee Senator and Senate Foreign Relations Committee key player, Bill Hagerty, on this. Were you among those yay votes, Senator?
Yes, I was, Neil.
And what did you like about it?
Well, it's a complex bill, but the overarching concern has to do with our national security and our economy. We all know what we've been through with the chip shortage here in America over the past 18 months. We need to reshore that supply chain back from China. We've become far too dependent on a country that does not have our best interest at heart. And getting these critical semiconductor manufacturing capabilities back in America is my overarching concern. I was also able to negotiate a significant improvement in this bill. And if you think about it, it takes far too long to permit a chip fabrication facility here in America. When I called CEOs and asked them why weren't they manufacturing the chips here in America, they told me that it takes up to 5 years to obtain a permit for a chip manufacturing facility here in the United States. The permitting process that I've passed, that I've gotten agreement, 100% agreement here in the Senate, and now House leadership has agreed to pass it, if not this week, as soon as they're back. This will significantly compress the timeline for permitting, making us far more competitive. My hope is to get that timeline down to about 18 months. That's going to actually allow us to speed up the implementation of this expansion of supply. It's going to make this far more effective, and frankly, this is one of the most significant improvements in regulatory process and in permitting process that we've seen in years.
You know, what startles me, though, Senator, is when they were first kicking this around, it looked like a $50–60 billion measure. Then it was up to 80-something, now $280 billion. I don't know what the final figure will be. I do know that it has a $39 billion fund that would provide direct federal assistance for perhaps what you were referring to, construction and expansion of manufacturing facilities here in the U.S. But at the semiconductor or the chip makers offered anything on their own, that they would rely less, produce less in Asia to make this happen?
What they've told us is that if we don't create an environment for them here, and again, my focus has been on the permitting process and shrinking that down, but if we don't create the environment here that they can invest capital, those investments are going to go to China, other parts of Asia, or to Europe.
But if you do make these guarantees, Senator, and I know you want to see that, and they still have facilities in China, are still doing business with China, it sounds like they're getting their cake and eating it too.
My hope is that this process will actually help us incentivize and properly get these supply chains moved back. The manufacturers that I talk to don't like the strategic position that they are in either. And if you think about what's happened in industry right here in America, I mean, I was just visiting the GM plant in Spring Hill, Tennessee. Long line of cars there that are waiting the chips. Clients of chip manufacturing firms are not happy with this. We need to reshore this capacity now. The chip manufacturers understand this, and what we're doing is facilitating that process. Again, getting these plant facilities in place and vertical much faster with my legislation and the larger legislation that brings certain targeted subsidies to bear to try to help facilitate that as well.
But as far as you know, it will not influence whether any of these companies pull out of Asia, nor is it required to. I mean, they need Asia for the time being, so they're not going to go pull out pell-mell, right? This
legislation doesn't require that, but what we're going to do is incentivize that to happen. And China does a lot to incentivize it as well, given their predatory behavior. So I think over time, and this is a mid to long-term fix, but we will be able to put a significant improvement in terms of our own national security and our economic security as we begin to reshore these supply chains.
Got it. Senator, thank you very much for joining us on this. Bill Hagerty of